Meet Bola Tinubu, architect of modern Lagos. Lagos border was properly defined in 1967 to include the colony province and the Lagos Federal Territory. Lagos is 48 years to date. Modern-day Lagos was founded by the Benin in the 16th century. Lagos has since grown to become the commercial nerve center of Nigeria and the economic powerhouse of Africa, with a population close to 14 million, commanding infrastructure and skilled workforce. When the colony and protectorate of Nigeria was established in 1914, Lagos was declared its capital. Lagos experienced rapid growth throughout the 1960s and the 1970s as a result of Nigeria's economic boom prior to the Biafran War. Lagos has remained key to Nigeria's economy. Beyond these positives is the challenge of governing Lagos and coping with the increasing strain on infrastructure. Governing Lagos is a Herculean task for any leader, and that is putting it mildly. A brief journey back into the fiscal, physical, economic and social conditions of Lagos some 13 years ago will reveal the following: a city buried in heaps of rubbish, a city almost swallowed up in crime, a people choked up in traffic, millions of unemployed youths, thousands of area boys on the prowl, decaying infrastructure, dwindling internally generated revenue, and a city of over 12 million with hopelessly bad and damaged roads. The armed bandits also ruled the day and night. Lagos was Nigeria's nemesis. Everyone loved Lagos, but no one, not past military and civilian governors, could do anything about it. Not even the federal government was willing to tackle the problems of Lagos. The country's commercial nerve center was one of the worst victims of the previous 1.5 decades of military dictatorship and neglect. Public infrastructure had disintegrated abysmally. Delivery of social services had collapsed in virtually all sectors. The environment was in chaos, as Lagos routinely described as one of the dirtiest cities in the world. The narrative of Lagos quickly changed from the glowing city to a struggling city when the seat of the federal government moved to Abuja. Of course, Lagos had a fair chance at survival. Leaders like Lateef Jakande, popularly called LKJ or Baba Kekere, brought new meaning to governance. He was an astute administrator who tackled headlong the challenges of Lagos, from education to housing. Jakande employed power to better the lives of the people. Until today, his administration's success remains a reference point. He made landmark developments that defined Lagos. After Jakande, the rot quickly set in. Lagos again struggled. Under the military, not much could be done for Lagos. Holding on to power was more important than service delivery. The military needed no one's votes to rule Lagos, but with the return of civil rule, the military, with their jackboots, exited power. At the point of their exit, with Buba Marwa as military administrator, stood one man whose years of service and political tutelage has prepared him for the task of rebuilding Lagos. Enters Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The moment found its man. History beckoned as Tinubu climbed the saddle of power. He came in as an elected governor in 1999 after years of democratic struggle and a wealth of experience in the business world as a celebrated accountant. Tinubu comes from an accounting and finance background, working with global corporate names like Arthur Andersen, Deloitte, Haskins and Sales, and Mobil Oil. As Mobil Oil treasurer, he was referred to as the whiz kid on the block because of the financial engineering he brought into Mobil. Tinubu wasted no time in confronting the Lagos challenge. Soon after he took over, he stamped both his vision and authority on the state of Lagos, and in 8 years, the shine returned to Lagos. The reputation of Lagos changed. The pride of Lagos as a pace setter in development, commerce, and politics was restored. This is because one man, Senator Bola Tinubu, rewrote the rule book, broke away from development stereotypes, Against all odds, in spite of detractions, he initiated and implemented policies that laid the foundation for the infrastructural renewal of Lagos. The Lagos we see today had one architect, Governor Tinubu. Tinubu brought in technocrats such as Dele Alake, Yemi Osibajo, Wale Edun, Muiz Banire, Yemi Cardoso, Segun Ayobolu, Kehinde Bamigbetan. The crack team put together by Bola Tinubu as governor of Lagos has included Rauf Aregbesola, in charge of works and now current governor of the state of Osun, Opeyemi Bamidele, a member of the House of Representatives, one of whom now occupies the Alausa government house, Governor Raji Fashola. From Tunde Fagbenle, a prolific writer and journalist, comes this insight. The real story is that of one man called Ashiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. His knack and disposition for discovering and single-mindedly attracting, nay adopting, talents and achievers are phenomenal. As governor of Lagos State, he surrounded himself with a crack team of young brilliant guys and gave them room to bloom. The story needs to be told, and there is no amount of hatchet job or sponsored write-ups and paid online advertorials that can change the solid legacy that was built. The Tinubu transformational leadership in Lagos is attested to by many, but also it is very evidential.
When he asked us, do you have money to start this? We said, there's no money, even though we are still struggling to publish the magazine. And he said, okay, how much do you need? We told him a figure, and he just went inside and brought it in and said, look, just go and start this paper.
He discharged his responsibilities in such a manner that you could not rule him out of any serious circle in the discussion of where Nigeria should go.
And anytime he ran into problems, or ran foul of the laws of military dictators, one was there readily, to provide legal assistance.
It got so hot that some of us were arrested.
We all took our different routes and discovered ourselves in London.
The battles in Nigeria become too dangerous for a number of us, he in particular.
Perhaps what a lot of people don't know is the fact that he suffered a great deal. He suffered materially, his business suffered, his finances suffered, his family, his wife Remy, the children.
I remember that even while he escaped abroad, his house both in London and in the US became a sort of mecca. It was a rendezvous for credible activists who were committed to the democratic struggle of Nigeria.
In exile, he not only continued the struggle, but gave it an international dimension, putting in everything, his resources, his contacts, his network.
He's a dogged fighter. When he believes in a cause, he follows it to the hilt. He doesn't give up.
However, I think what Ashiwaju will be remembered for him in the Senate was his principled stand for the annulment of the June 12 election.
Tinubu brought to bear on governance the virtues of courage, determination, commitment, vision, focus, and strong sense of purpose. These are virtues that continue to characterize his politics. They account undoubtedly for his extraordinary emergence as one of the country's most successful leaders since Nigeria's return to democratic rule almost 16 years ago. Most important are his political exploits, not just building Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN, into a formidable political party in control of 6 states. He positioned him to lead Nigeria's first successful political merger. The formation of the All Progressives Congress, APC, had his strong input and delivered the long-awaited Northwest and Southwest political marriage predicted by Obafemi Awolowo. But let's stay with Lagos, Tinubu's political headquarters. On his assumption of office as governor of Lagos State in 1999, Ashiwaju Tinubu inherited a state that was practically bankrupt. The state was largely dependent on insufficient financial allocations from the center, as it lacked the capacity to generate adequate revenue internally to meet her numerous challenges. The public sector was demoralized and ill-equipped, psychologically and logistically, to effectively perform its functions and achieve set objectives, while the citizenry was alienated from the state and thus demotivated from paying taxes. The ones they paid were stolen, making the states technically bankrupt. The organized private sector had little or no incentive to partner with the government in meeting the immense developmental challenges of the mega city. Assembling a team of accomplished technocrats, Ashiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration drew up a 10-point agenda which it began to systematically implement for the revitalization and reinvention of the state. The Ashiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, from inception, drew up a clear and focused action plan for the state, in conjunction with critical stakeholders, including the organized private sector, civil society groups, and the public service. The result was the evolution of the 10-point agenda, focusing on education, healthcare, job creation, poverty alleviation, power and water supply, public transportation, traffic management, physical planning, environmental renewal, infrastructure renewal, justice, law and order, food security, and public sector reforms. Tinubu's visionary administration restructured the machinery of government, creating new ministries such as housing, physical planning, sports and youth development, as well as women affairs and poverty alleviation for more effective policy implementation. Ashiwaju Tinubu brought seasoned and accomplished technocrats into government as commissioners and special advisors in their areas of expertise. The total budget of Lagos State at the inception of Ashiwaju Bola Tinubu's administration in 1999 was a little over 14 billion naira, while the state annually generated revenue was 600 million naira monthly. The internally generated revenue increased to 7 billion naira by the end of his tenure. Today, with the Fashola administration, the IGR has increased to 21 billion naira, making Lagos the highest ranked in the IGR status. 8 years later, under Ashiwaju's astute guidance, Lagos had become financially viable and autonomous of the federal government. Lives and property had become more secure. Public infrastructure was being aggressively modernized and expanded. There had been a dramatic improvement in the quality and efficiency of public health care, education, the environment, water supply, and public transportation. Lagos was attracting new investments in diverse sectors on a daily basis, despite the depressing national economic climate. Through meticulous planning and disciplined implementation, the Ashiwaju Tinubu administration grew the budget size of Lagos State. It is significant that at no time under Tinubu's stewardship did budget implementation performance fall below 60%. In a similar vein, the Tinubu administration consistently maintained an annual budgetary ratio of at least 60 to 40% in favor of capital over recurrent expenditure to ensure rapid infrastructure development. This impressive revenue performance achieved by the Tinubu administration in Lagos State did not happen by chance or luck. It was due to carefully thought out and effectively implemented policies such as the introduction of the electronic banking system, revenue collecting monitoring project, computerization of the revenue collection process, introduction of electronic tax receipts, reorganization and professionalization of the former Board of Internal Revenue, now the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, tax administration reforms, and the creation of robust database of taxpayers. Lagos State, under Ashiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, became a pace-setter in sound and innovative public sector financial management. In September 2002, for instance, Lagos State was the first government in Nigeria to raise funds from the capital market for infrastructure development. This was in recognition of the fact that long-term funds were necessary for long-term projects. The bond has since been fully redeemed. Other states, even the federal government, has copied the Lagos State model. Again, in 2003, the Tinubu administration invested 3.84 billion naira in Celtel, now Airtel, and by the time the states divested from the company in 2006, a surplus of 19 billion naira had been reaped, which was invested in the provision of infrastructure. As a result of its financial ingenuity, prudence, and discipline, as well as extensive public sector reforms for improved service delivery, the lasting legacy of the Tinubu administration in Lagos State between 1999 and 2007 are still there for all to see. They include massive roads construction, dualization and modernization across Lagos State, such as Kudirat Abiola Road, Oregun, Awolowo Road, Ikoyi, Akin Adeshola Road, Victoria Island, Adiola Odeku Road, Victoria Island, Agege Motor Road, Ikotun Igondo Road, Yaba Itire Lawansin, Ujuelegba Road, Lasuiba Road, Ojo, Adetokunbo Ademola Road, Victoria Island, and the ongoing expansion and modernization of the Lagos-Ekpe Expressway as the largest concessioneering project of its size and complexity in Africa, among several others. Reconstruction and upgrading of the Lagos Island Central Business District, including the modernization of 16 roads in the area and the historic Tinubu Square. Upgrading of the buildings and facilities at the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, LASUT, to world-class grade. Expansion and rehabilitation of old general hospitals in Lagos, Bagada, Ekpe, Isolo, Ikorodu, Agege, and the Island Maternity. Elimination of mountains of refuse that used to deface and disgrace Lagos through the introduction of community-based private sector participation, PSP, in refuse collection and disposal. Massive construction of rural roads as well as rural electrification and water supply schemes. Construction of micro water works at Oniko, Ikeja, Iwaya, Igondo, Oworoshoki, Atan, Bariga, Isolo, Shomolu, and Ikponri, among others, to improve water supply in Lagos State. In year 2007, Ashiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu successfully handed over the mandate of the state's leadership to Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, who has continued to build on the firm foundation laid by his predecessor. In the just concluded general elections, Ashiwaju Tinubu's influence was a critical factor not only in his party's retention of power in Lagos State, but also its success in recovering the states it had earlier lost in the Southwest in the 2003 and 2007 elections. Tinubu was only behaving true, never conceding any political territory to the enemy. He taught the ruling party, PDP, about how not to rig an election when he took back the states of Edo, Osun, Ekiti, and Ogun. Almost a government in waiting, Tinubu has become the most feared and targeted politician in Nigeria today. Hence, the ongoing efforts to bring him down at all costs, but there is some warning in the air. According to Ayo Padokun, political superiority cannot be ignored. He spoke about Tinubu's political superiority in a bold way. For his excellent performance as the executive governor of Lagos State of Nigeria, 1999 to 2007, Ashiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu received several awards. These include Best Governor in Nigeria for year 2000 by the Nigerian Belgian Chamber of Commerce, year 2002 Best Practices Prize in Improving the Living Environment, awarded by the Federal Ministry of Works and UN Habitat Group, Citation by the New York-based World Trade Association on June 12, 2002, as the symbol of progress in Nigeria. The only other recipient in Africa was President Nelson Mandela of South Africa. It's important to stress that any person or individuals or group can have as many reasons for hating Tinubu as a person and or his politics. They cannot be allowed to cross the line by carrying their personal animosities and or hatred in the form of transferred aggression to confuse our people. After all, some of them have had 3 governorship election opportunities to test their political acceptability and dexterity, and they had been crushingly defeated each time by Tinubu. It is ungentlemanly for them not to acknowledge his superiority over them politically. Tinubu's political trajectory reads like a fairy tale, but it's not. It was earned through dogged pursuit of truth and justice, formed in the crucible of struggles and fierce commitment to democratic principles. Tinubu played key roles in Nigerian politics long before he became governor of Lagos State. Tinubu was elected to the Senate from Lagos West constituency with the highest votes in the country in the Third Republic. In the Senate, he was the chairman of the Senate Committee on Banking and Finance, Currency and Appropriations. In that capacity, Tinubu initiated a far-reaching probe of the finances of the National Assembly that set him at loggerheads with the legislative bureaucracy and the military regime at the helm of affairs at the time. Again, Tinubu was at the forefront of the Chief MKO Abiola's campaign for presidency in 1993, when the June 12, 1993 election, described as the freest and fairest in the country's history, was annulled. Tinubu emerged as one of the fiercest opponents of the annulment. As the arrowhead of the struggle to actualize Abiola's mandate, the military junta reached out to him severally to jump ship and come over to their side.
I have to choose between my job, going back to corporate life. I'll stay with the people to continue the struggle for an enduring democracy in the country. And I decided I would go with the people, regardless of the hazard and the danger at that particular time.
His wife, now Senator Oluremi Tinubu, and her children had to be smuggled out into exile. Tinubu, while in exile, remained steadfast in his commitment to the pro-democracy struggle, making great personal and financial sacrifices towards this effort. A pseudo-democrat would rather enjoy the transient benefits of economic and political power rather than risk his life fighting for truth and justice, but not Tinubu, who remains steadfast. Tinubu remains one of the most influential, courageous, principled politicians and statesmen in the contemporary Nigeria. In a political culture where most members of the political class tend to gravitate towards the ruling party for pecuniary reward, Tinubu's resilience and steadfastness in giving inspirational leadership to the opposition is remarkable. It is a testimony to the depth of the convictions that have motivated and sustained him in politics over the last 2.5 decades. From Africa comes recognition of Tinubu's political capacity from Sierra Leonean President Koroma. Koroma said, "Governor Tinubu, you have what it takes for such leadership. We should honor people like you. Before the UN came, Nigeria stood by us with soldiers whose blood and sweat watered our tree of liberation. For somebody like you, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has demonstrated great leadership quality, we are happy to be associated with you. If we are making any progress here, it is because of the efforts and contributions people like you have made. Everything that happens in Nigeria affects us here. Good leadership in Nigeria affects us. We are watching events in Nigeria as it unfolds, and at the end, we hope democracy and the will of the people will prevail. Governor Tinubu, you have what it takes for such leadership. Some of us are fortunate to be associated with you, he said. Tinubu's political tentacles stretch beyond Nigeria. From Ghana to Sierra Leone, Senegal, South Africa, United Kingdom, and the United States, he has built a solid network of political associates. Bola Tinubu has a strong connection with the youth population, both in Nigeria and Africa. His politics and message resonate with them. In 2014, Tinubu was made Chief Executive Patron of Africa's Young Entrepreneurs, AYE. Tinubu excites the youth who see him as a role model of our time, and his common sense revolution philosophy has gained traction with the youth.
Not because of anything other than the fact that you need education. You need to educate them in order to bring them up. The best thing you can do is to really show appreciation is for you to go back and be very, very serious with your class. So that those who thought they would have written off that class, we know that you are capable, you are determined, you are resolved to improve the quality of your life and that.
This largely has been due to the unwavering commitment of Tinubu, who has given his all to nudge the opposition in the right direction. For his foresightedness and unrelenting determination to deepen Nigeria's democratic space, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Here are some notable quotes about Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He might not be the darling of all, but Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a two-time governor of Lagos State, has carved a niche for himself in the 14-year history of the rebirth of democracy in Nigeria. His persona excites as much awe as fear from the people, especially the political class. He has, through his doggedness and can-do spirit, earned a name for himself as one of the foremost politicians of the nation's fledgling Fourth Republic. Whatever Tinubu might have done to advance the cause of democracy before the Fourth Republic has paled to insignificance with his avowed commitment in the extant dispensation to champion the cause of sustaining one of the cardinal principles of democracy, the people's right to choose. As the nation approaches another election year, in 2015, the electorate is assured of a choice. This largely has been due to the unwavering commitment of Tinubu, who has given his all to nudge the opposition in the right direction. For his foresightedness and unrelenting determination to deepen Nigeria's democratic space, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is this day's Man of the Year.